Hiya guys, welcome back to Creative Tap. Now in today's video we're going to be diving into After Effects to look at something called Spatial Interpolation. We're going to be looking at how we modify the path of something as it animates. So we're going to be animating from a bird's eye view, a taxi driving around a few streets. So hopefully you're going to pick up a few new things in today's tutorial, and as a bonus you'll finish off with a really nice looking animation. So let's stop wasting time, let's dive on in. Okay, so our goal within this tutorial is to animate this taxi driving around this little city, and we're going to look at some sort of spatial interpolation stuff, okay? So let's dive on in. Okay, I'm going to change my resolution back down to a third just so it kind of works a little bit faster. First thing you're going to want to do is, let's delete all this out. You're going to want to import the Adobe Illustrator file, which you can download with this tutorial. So I'm going to go File, Import and File. Then I'm going to locate my taxi and make sure it imports as composition, not footage, otherwise it'll all be flattened and you won't have access to individual layers. Then just click Import and it'll import a composition which we can double click, and there we go, we can work with it. Now just make sure that your composition is 8 seconds long, so go to Composition Settings and make sure that duration is 8 seconds and that we've got 25 frames per second, and that's great. So we want to set everything up at first. So I'm going to move my car body and I'm going to scale this down first of all. I think 15% is what I was using. So yeah, we've got a nice small car up by here. You also want to make sure that your anchor point is at the center of the car. So just move it to the center like that. Anchor point tool up here and move it to the center. And first of all, we're going to start off by animating the position keyframes, okay? So on the car body layer, hit P, and I'm going to set a keyframe for the first position. Then I'm going to move forward, I think I'm going to move forward a whole second, and I'm going to give him a second to get to the end of the street. And I'm just going to click and I'm going to drag him into position because I've moved forward a second in my timeline and it's given me a keyframe. I'm then going to move forward about 15 frames, so 1 second and 15 frames, just because, you know, you want to be safe driving and taking that corner nice and slow. And so I've set a keyframe for there. I know he hasn't turned yet, but don't worry. Then I'm going to come forward another second, so that'll be 2 seconds and 15 frames. And that'll give him enough time to get to the end of this road. And stop. Then another 15 frames, so that actually went a frame too fast, just move that back. So yeah, another 15 frames, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I was just using the page down button, and we're just going to pull him around the corner slightly like so. Then another second forward in time, so 4 seconds and 5 frames, like that. And he comes to the end by here, and you'll start noticing that this path, it doesn't look great, and that's why we're doing this tutorial, just to cover what's going on. So in order to turn the corner, it was 15 frames last time, so I'll go to 4 seconds and 20, and so that'll give him 15 frames then to turn this corner, and then I'll go forward another second, so 5 seconds and 20 frames, and I'm going to have him pull up outside this house by here, so just pull to a stop. Let's play through what we've got so far. So let's just go back to the beginning, and I'm going to hit space on my keyboard. Okay, so he's going quite fast, and as he comes around that corner, it goes a little bit slower. What I may do is I may space these keyframes out for the whole 8 seconds, because I've only reached 6 seconds. So yeah, let's just play that back through now. It's cached in. So yeah, going quite fast, takes the corners a little bit slower, but yeah, it's still quite speedy. So what I want to do is I'm going to highlight, click and drag all of my keyframes, Alt-click the end one, and I'm going to drag that all the way to the 8 seconds. So let's see what it looks like now. It's a little bit slower now because we spaced them out, and he's definitely taking those corners slower than he's actually driving down the roads, which is great. Next thing we want to do is we actually want to give some easy ease keyframes, because if you're driving, as you come to the end, you want to be slowing down by here, and these are actually linear keyframes. So this keyframe by here, as he slows down, I want to right click it and go to Keyframe Assistant, Easy Ease. So he slows down as he approaches, and then because he's going slower, he needs to then speed back up gradually, which is what will happen with these hourglass Easy Ease keyframes. So I'm going to do it for this one by here when he comes to the end of the road again. So right click, Keyframe Assistant, Easy Ease. And I know it's going to be this one by here as he comes to the end of the road. Right click, and I didn't right click it properly. Right click, Keyframe Assistant, Easy Ease. And also as he comes to a stop at the end, that'll be a gradual stop. So I'll do that one there as well. So right click the last one, Keyframe Assistant, Easy Ease. It'll be Command click on a Mac. So let's give it a playthrough now. And what you'll see is the car comes to a slow stop and then goes around the corner. And so we're getting there with what we want. Next thing I want to do is I want to animate the rotation so the car turns, and that's why we put our key anchor point to the center of the car, because it was at the corner before. Okay, so as we come to this point, I want to use my page down key to come forward just a few frames, because I don't want to animate my rotation straight away, and I'll show you why. So I've got position, and I want to see rotation at the same time. If I hit R on that layer, it just shows me the rotation. If I go back to P, just the position. So if I hold Shift and put R, it'll show me the position and the rotation. So if I set a keyframe for the rotation here, and then come to this point here where we've got our position keyframe, and just go 90 degrees, like so, what will happen is you'll notice he'll start turning here as he's kind of as he's not really moving, and that's because we're coming out of an Easy Ease keyframe. He's going to start moving slower at first. So my rotation keyframe, I'm just going to pull it over slightly so he starts to move, and then he starts rotating a little bit later, like so, and he rotates into that final movement. So I'll come down to here, and just after this keyframe, around about by here, I'm going to make another keyframe at 90. I don't want to alter the value, so I want to click over here to give it a second keyframe. All right, so I'll give it a keyframe, and just by clicking that diamond at the current value, and then I'm going to move forward to about by here, yeah, where he's just kind of come around the road, and I'm going to bring this back down now to 0. So just type 0 in there. So if we just play this bit through, you should start to move around and come around the corner. And he does go over the over the single white lines, but it doesn't matter, it's not a driving test, is it? Then when we come to the end, same thing again, just come a few frames after, and I'm gonna select make a keyframe for the same value at 0, and I'm gonna come forward to where he's joined the road, and just bring this to -90 now, so the car's facing the correct way. And if we just give this a little bit of a play so far, we'll see that we've got our car rotating. However, what you'll notice, especially by here, is if I just click and drag, you'll notice that this path, it's got a bit of a kink in it by there, a little bit of a kink. And as we play through by here, if I play through, you'll see the car's finished rotating, but it kind of still moves over a little bit. And we want to actually look at modifying this path. That's what this tutorial is about. You'll see he doesn't go in a straight line, but it actually curves out a bit. So this is the positional sort of trail which he's taken. We could actually get the pen tool and draw a path that we want the car to follow. But what I'm going to do is you'll see these little squares, and I'm going to click these squares, and you've got these little, let me just turn off the land layer. When you click, so car body, when you click these squares, you've got these little kind of dots which appear. So clicking the first one, if I click this dot now, you'll notice I've got these handles, and I can actually affect this path, okay? So I want this to be straight, okay? Then I'm going to click this one and use these dots, these handles, to make this corner, and you can pull these handles out like so if you want, and you want to make that corner an L shape, as close to a right angle as you can, really. Not kind of like that, but just, you know, you want to make it smoother, so he goes straight and then goes around the corner. I'll illustrate that down here. If you click this point, and then just this dot by here, you can actually modify what this path looks like. So I'm going to bring this handle in, and click this point, and I've got these little dots, and you just want to basically modify this. It takes a while to get used to, but it's worth getting to know how to do. So I'll click this point, and we've got these little dots, and we'll just tidy it up like so, so it's a lot straighter, and maybe bring it out a little bit so it takes that corner sharper. Click this final one, and just modify this so it's looking a lot better. Okay, let's turn our land back on. And actually, before we turn our land back on, let's turn it back off. You'll see that this path is a lot smoother now. So the corners are a lot nicer. Okay, so now let's turn our land back on, and let's actually see how actually have a look at the path this takes. And it's looking a lot better already. Okay, you could probably tidy a few things up, but the path is actually a lot smoother this time. And this is what's known as spatial interpolation. We were just modifying the space which this this taxi layer was going to adopt. So it follows a nice little constrict path now, and it's looking a lot nicer. Awesome. He does at the end go off to the side, so let's just pause that. And what we can do is select the layer, and just at the end here, just move him back, just like that, so he's in the center of the road. But technically, he probably should pull up on the left, but there, or on the right. But yeah, there you go. We have now we've animated the position. We've eased into a little stop and a pull away around the corners, like you should, nice and slow. We've animated the rotation with this, making sure that our anchor point was at the center. And then we've modified this little path, and actually looking at the land by here, we could click this and just make him take a little bit of a wider corner by there. Okay, so we can actually move this out a touch. Okay, so that is how to modify the path of your animation. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope it helped you, and I'll see you in a future video tutorial.